Shooters Connection offers products for competition shooters by competition shooters. With over 80 years of combined competition shooting experience, Shooters Connection is staffed by master and grandmaster shooters who live the shooting sports every day. We offer same-day shipping. Shooters Connection also sponsors over 100 of your matches every single year. So when it comes to finding everything you need to compete as a beginner or a seasoned grandmaster, Shooters Connection is the only name you need to know. Online at shootersconnectionstore.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hit Factor podcast. I am your host, Jeffrey Cawthon, and joining me tonight is Potato and the prodigal son return, Jeremy Reid. Mr. loves shorty shorts and political opinions and everything else we love Jeremy for. He's back, so we've got it all back again, ladies and gentlemen. And we are very, very glad to see his smiling, shiny face in his cold dungeon room.
It is chilly. I got my puffy jacket on. I probably put my hood on to go with it. There we go. Yeah. Now we can stay warm.
Yeah, now it looks like you're broadcasting from like Antarctica or something.
Yeah. Dude, it's basically Texas is cold, man. People don't understand it. Texas is cold. Yeah, it's you call me the prodigal son. Unfortunately, I was not gone just partying and going crazy all last week whenever Jeff was recording. I was planning to go visit the in-laws for the holidays, which is always just lots of fun.
I mean, we'll just have to take your word for it, but
yeah, but I did get to listen to, while I was down in San Antonio, I did get to listen to the previous podcast. And no, I was not yelling at my phone when I was listening. Jeff thought I was going to be yelling at everybody.
You were just shaking your head, weren't you? You were just like,
not mad, just disappointed.
Just disappointed.
Just disappointed. Have I said that a bunch this year? We can talk about that as we do the end of year wrap ups later. But okay, so there were a couple things that I would have brought up, and like the match administration was fairly poor at this match. I mean, I think that was kind of said, but like that was somewhat stated. Just when we drove up, Jeff made the comment, is like, this looks like a much bigger deal than USPSA Iron Sight Nationals looked like. Because they had like this huge tent and like vendors with big banners up and all this, like in the central, like a central gathering point with vendors all over and a big tent and all sorts of stuff. So it looked like a bigger event from that standpoint. The actual experience of the match was much less so. And yeah, they talked about the equipment cards and all that. I was the person who didn't get the equipment, the sign-off sheet on day one. And then day two, at some point, somebody gave me, one of the ROs gave me one. And I was just like, okay, I already have 10 stages with no signatures on. I'm not going to try and keep up with this and add 4 more signatures today. So I just ignored it the whole time. I did get randomly chosen for chrono, so that was fun. And what was interesting is the guy that was doing the courtesy checks was the guy doing chrono. He didn't know how to work a lab radar. I had to help him out and tell him how to do that. He didn't know how to run it, so that was a little bit sketchy. But like any sort of courtesy check, he was apparently, everybody except for Potato, he was making them move your pouches. Like, you're too far forward. This isn't going to work. And he was very adamant about me that my mag pouch was too far forward, but my gun was completely fine. And I'm looking straight down, like vertically. It's like, I cannot tell a difference which one is further forward or rearward. One was, and I was like, Jeff, which one is further forward? He was like, well, it looks like your mag is further back than your gun actually is. Well, okay. So then I get sent to the random chrono, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, great. What is he gonna do at this point? And he just glances at, oh yeah, you're fine. Like, what? Okay. So
at your equipment.
Yeah.
Okay, so the official equipment check was much more nonchalant.
Yeah, it was the same guy. It was the exact same guy doing the courtesy checks who was very adamant about things, and then the
Yeah.
actual equipment check, he barely looked at it. So there's that. That could be. I think random chrono could be good. I think it could be. They could do it better than how they did it. How they did it wasn't the best.
Did he burn around for you too before he turned on the lab radar? So for me, he shot around and nothing came up on the screen, and I'm like, yeah, you gotta turn it on there, bud. And then he turned it on, and then it worked. But he just torched around for funsies first.
I would have said I like my quarterback is what I would have told him.
Oh yeah, you shoot 40. Yeah, for me it's just 20 cents. So
No, I'm shooting 9mm, but with zeros, it's probably close to a quarter. Anyway, no, he didn't, because I was watching him I was watching him like, okay, hit this button, hit this button, now hit this button twice. Okay, now you're on. We're good. But the other thing that I found a little bit frustrating, maybe found it frustrating because it was we hit stage 7 was our first stage of day 2, 7:00 in the morning. And we sequentially shot 32 round, 32 round, 24 round, 32 round, if I'm remembering correctly.
you are correct.
Yeah.
So like our first 4 stages of day 2 at 7 a.m. was like probably almost half the match points, at least half the match points in those 4 stages. And yeah, shooting, people talked about shooting in the sun, and I'm not trying to necessarily complain about the shooting in the sun part. That did suck. Like I'm not gonna lie, that did suck. But if we're gonna go with the 3-2-1 format, what I really didn't like about this match is all the short courses were all stacked together. Basically, all the medium courses were all stacked together, and then all the long courses were all stacked together. So rather than having a kind of a mix and zoning stuff such that, okay, you're going to shoot three short courses, 2 mediums, and a long, and then you'll shoot 3 short courses, 2 mediums, and a long in a 6-stage setting, so to speak. It was everything just got compressed, and so I would have liked it much better as a competitor had those, like the short courses been spread throughout the other courses, and the long courses been spread out and not all put in one place. And there was no real, like the stages after 7, 8, 9, 10, there were bays 2 stages later. There were bays that they had, big bays. They could have put their big courses, their long courses in those bays instead of having doubled up short courses in those. So like it wasn't strictly a facilities issue that they couldn't do it from that standpoint. So that was that was something I think they could have done better. The other thing, and this I simply do not understand it. You're in Florida. It rains a freaking ton. Grade your bays so that it doesn't stand water in them. Like I don't understand how you have a range and you're going to claim to put on world-class matches, and you have bays which literally drain into the middle of the bay, and you put the shooting area running down the middle of that bay where the water cannot drain out of it. Like that to me is like, hey, if you're going to charge whatever we paid for this match, was it 300, 325? I can't remember. It wasn't cheap. It's an expensive match. Like that ground is soft. Get a skid loader in there and grade it. And yeah, you're gonna have to do that every once in a while because it is soft and it's sandy. But get a skid loader and grade it so that the bays will drain out, and your competitors don't have to shoot in rain and just puddles all the time.
But if you're really good at shooting in the rain, it helps you.
Yeah, you can tell yourself that it's just better shooting in the rain. Look, I honestly, like, I mean, for us, we had bays that were just really sloppy, right? Like they were still just really sloppy. It wasn't actively raining on us. So that was fine. When I'm actually shooting, do I notice the slop in the mud or anything like that? No. Like unless you're on wood, that's like wet, or something like that, or it's so slick that you're sliding, which that
Or it's
wasn't the
mud that's built up against the fault line and is
yeah
retained by the fault line, such that when you there's no tactile feel whatsoever, and you have to
Yeah.
look down when you come to the rear, say of
yeah
stage 6, or
Yeah,
the side of stage 8, for instance.
well yeah so yeah and that was the other thing. I don't understand. Does that range not have access or own pea gravel anywhere? Because there was zero effort to maintain any sort of shooting area or add, hey, there's a really low area here that's really sloppy and muddy. There was zero effort to bring some pea gravel in to like fill those in and make those shooting areas,
right. It was like
equal competition for everybody.
it was like the opposite of handgun nationals, right? Where we had this super loose gravel everywhere,
Yes.
and as soon as everyone like ran through and like got it kicked out of the way, so you could get some traction, they'd come and rake it back in, so you could
Make it
get any
worse.
traction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that Ohio Bay, I did cartoon running in place the first time I shot there last May for Buckeye. I pushed off really aggressively, and like my feet just went out from underneath me, and I was like, I'm running in place with a gun. This is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was also comically bad in Ohio as well. So look, everybody, I got to get my shots in. So those are somewhat my shots.
You're the best at firing shots, Jeremy.
I'm good. At least I'm good at something. I got something to add. I'm happy with that. But like
we kept it upbeat and positive, so we wanted to save this time for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I will try to get through it quick so that people don't have to listen to it for forever. But like it could have been a better match. Just fix some of that stuff. Oh, and the scoring calls. You guys hit on it a little bit, but we had a girl that was with us that wasn't shooting. Billy, and there was a stage that was being run, and there were 2 targets that she taped. She taped those 2 targets. She was taping. She wasn't shooting. She was helping out the squad and taping and just being cool. And so she taped like these first 2 targets on this stage. I don't remember. I think it was. I'm not going to say which stage it was because I don't remember exactly. So I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. But she said, I taped that target for every shooter, and every single shooter either got 4 alphas or Alpha Charlie. It did not matter what their actual hits were on that target. Like every single shooter either got 4 alpha or 2 Alpha 2 Charlie. It's like, I mean, you guys are reading off the scores, and who was it that was? They were like only a half a point apart. Was it Casey Reid and somebody else in production that were
Sal
like,
Luna.
Yeah.
Like there is a very real chance that their scores were not right. Like
I think it's a 2% band. Anybody within 2% up or down of anybody else, who knows?
You're right.
You might have gotten your actual score, and they got random alphas they didn't shoot.
Yeah. We had a shooter on our squad. This was one of the strangest things I've seen. She shot 3 times at a target, and the RO called it Alpha Charlie, and the alpha was bigger than a single hit. Obviously, much bigger than the one above it. I walked up and looked at it, and there were very 2 obvious 2 different grease rings, like 2 different circumferences. I didn't have to get it. Like there was no need for an overlay, nothing like that. She called it Alpha Charlie. Another guy on our squad was like, hey, she shot 3 at this. I think you should look at it. She's like, okay, I'll come back. And she came back, and she was like pulling out overlays. She was talking to the other ROs. Like she spent like 5 minutes looking at it. Like, well, I'm just not sure. I guess we'll give you 2 alpha. And it's like, that was the easiest call in the world. Like, I don't know how an RO has that little experience to be ROing what is supposed to be a nationals match or a IPSC level 4 match. I don't understand how that happens.
Yeah. And I didn't mention it on last episode, but I'll mention now that you're here since you were there. On our
Stage
last,
6.
no, it was
Your last stage of day 1.
Yeah. Last stage, day 1. I shot and hit the steel, and it didn't go down.
Oh.
And then I also shot a mic on a target or a miss. And we finished, and I looked at the tablet, and I hit approve, and I didn't notice anything. And I think Jeremy had it pulled up on his phone or something, and we were looking at it, and he was like, "There's only one mic on here." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll go talk to the RO." And like I think one more shooter had already gone, 1 or 2 more. And so I went up to the RO.
It was a while before it uploaded.
Yeah, I went up to the RO, and I was like, "Hey, I had a mic on steel and a mic on paper on this stage, and my score is only showing one of those." And he's like, "Oh, well, good for you, I guess." And that was the end of it. he was not concerned with getting that score corrected. I was like, "Oh, you don't want to try to get it changed or anything?" "Nope." "Okay." So I just walked off. But yeah, that happened.
The same stage, there was a full, very clearly, just like an inch inside, full diameter hit in a barrel. Nice bright blue barrel because it had been painted black. And the RO calls it Alpha Charlie, and I'm like, "Do you want me to get some black paint for this full diameter hole on the?" I wasn't the shooter on the barrel. He's like, "Oh yeah, that'd be really helpful." And I'm like, "Do you want me to paint these other 2 holes on it too?" I mean, it's like, well, there's 3 people who didn't get a mic on that target.
Yeah, and that's like if they're gonna charge what they want to charge for these matches, then like expectations for like scoring equity is higher. Like that's supposed to be like this is supposed to like if we're gonna call it a nationals, and it's like we're gonna award national champion trophies for this, then like that's just 100% unacceptable. Like that, like in no way is that acceptable. Anyway, there was also another. This is a good one. This is a really good one. It was a stage where I kind of got It was my worst stage of the match. It hurt me a lot. You shot two poppers in the middle, and then it activated 2 swingers on the outside. And you started in the middle. You shot them. So I shot them. Ting ting. I go to the right, shoot the swinger, run all the way to the left, aim for the swinger. Wait. It's not moving. Like I wait because like maybe it's fine. Oh, it's not moving. I look over, the steel's up. Go shoot it. I had edged it. I mean, it really sucked because I didn't know that I edged it and I was waiting. It sucked. Like it sucked. But anyway, there was another shooter who I never got the name specifically, but I have a pretty good idea who it was. Well, very well known shooter. He shot it. And I think his maybe hung up on a cable or something. I'm not exactly sure. So he shot it. He went back. The swinger's not going. He goes back and he drives that popper down and then goes back and shoots it and whatnot. The RM was standing right there, I guess, when he did it. So he shot it. He shot everything down, shot the course fire. That's that. He goes to approve his score. And the RM comes up to him and says, "Don't worry, I got you." And gave him a reshoot just right there. Like, just have a reshoot. So that's kind of interesting.
Not exactly the way it's supposed to be done.
I mean, I don't think the rules quite allow for the RM to just say, "I got you," and just hand out reshoots. Maybe there are, but
Yeah.
It helps to be a sponsored shooter. So like, what we need to get sponsored. I don't know what it takes. We need to get sponsored.
Oh, we already have a damn
I'm
podcast.
waiting for Reid Pistol Smithing to give me a call back.
That's true. Unfortunately, you shoot
Single
a
stack.
dot gun. You shoot a dot gun.
I'm currently shooting single stack, brother.
You did not shoot single stack at this last match.
This is true. I probably will at the next one.
That's good. We'll see if Reid Pistol I think has room for more sponsorships.
Just be clear, I offer your business absolutely nothing. There's zero ROI from supporting me. I have no social media presence, and my opinion doesn't matter. I will not win anything, and I am unlikely to move any product for you, if indeed your books were open. But I appreciate this generous offer of sponsorship, and I accept.
Dude, what are you talking about? You're famous. You're on the Hit Factor podcast.
Dude, he's still the most interesting man in practical shooting.
Absolutely. Like there is
get that
unequivocally.
Get that man a Dos Equis. Shit.
Unequivocally, we need to make him like a thermos or a T-shirt or something. Or no, we should all wear T-shirts of the most interesting man in practical shooting, and it has potatoes.
And it'll just be a picture of a potato.
Yeah, just a potato with some gray hair drinking a Dos Equis. That'd be the shit, dude.
We need to make somebody who has T-shirt making abilities. Please make this happen. We will use Discord money to buy some shirts from you if you have that ability to make that happen.
That would be a killer.
So what about your match, Jeremy? We didn't ask you that.
We didn't.
Well, okay. Before we get to my match, the one other thing that came up, because I find this pretty interesting, that the dot people at this match were really talking a lot about how close and easy all of the shooting was. And you look at the open scores, and you look how compressed the scores in open were. And I think without Jacob Hetherington and production optics, you would probably see it somewhat in production optics, the compression of the scores too. He kind of just skewed that a little bit. So you see like the difficulty of shooting was too easy for the guys in open gun. Okay. But you start getting into the iron sight divisions, and it started being a more, like, I would much rather shoot this match than Iron Sight Nationals from a like, it was a better test than Iron Sight Nationals for me. What I would have liked to have seen some more distance shooting in it, which, stage designers like, well, okay, I'll give you more distance shooting. No, like stage 17, like a little bit more of what stage 17 had to offer sprinkled in throughout the match would have been really good. There could have been a few more arrays. Okay, let's push these a little bit further out, and that would have been good. But for the most part, for iron-sighted shooters, I thought it was actually semi-appropriate. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't like just crazy easy. But it was, I think, just a little bit on the easier side for any sort of dot gun. And I think the scores kind of reflected that. So I think they could have done a very similar match and basically just pushed everything 3 to 5 yards further, and you would have seen those, like the dot people, it would have more appropriately challenged them as well. If you had even just taken half the stages and just add 5 yards, same targets, same stage, add 5 yards to them, and all the dot shooters, then you would have started seeing more points down, more hesitation for on the move shooting and stuff like that, and you would have had more room for separation.
I mean, I think some of the top guys would have shot it in the same time, and the guys right behind them would have dropped some points.
Right.
Yeah. I think the very top of the open field could shoot that match with most of the targets 3 yards farther in basically the same time. The limitation on the time wasn't aiming.
Right. Correct.
Stage navigation. But you're absolutely correct. You'd see a lot more separation. I don't know, how would that play for iron sights if the average target was 3 yards farther?
I mean, I think you could do that and still be super appropriate for iron sighted shooters. Like, that doesn't turn it into what Iron Sight Nationals was. And I don't necessarily know if you would have had to have done that on every stage, but so just take half the stages and push the targets just a little bit further out on half the stages. And I think that the dot guys would have been a little bit more interested. It's almost, I mean, even forget the score compression, it just would have been a little bit more interesting match for more of the dot guys. I think we really, and just as interesting for the iron sight guys.
Yeah, we think we keep seeing it over and over that we're getting to a point where we really need to start like having separated matches, I think. Like when it comes to a nationals match anyway, like they need to be separated in my opinion to have your dot nationals and your iron sight nationals. Cuz yes, you could have made it more interesting for dots at this one, but that doesn't mean it was like the ultimate test for dot guns.
Right.
And and vice versa. Like the ultimate test for a dot gun is going to be, you know, stupid. It's going to be stupid for iron sights.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a bloodbath. Yeah,
Yeah, it's going to
I
be
agree.
miserable. So I mean, I think level ones and level twos, yeah, we'll make do. You fit what you can and you make it work. But nationals, I really think they need to separate them out, and they kind of have been, other than throwing in limited optics with iron sights. But
Which makes it a dot match.
it's. I mean, it was half a dot match for sure.
So,
Yeah.
my match was, well, I mean, it fit kind of my narrative for the year that I was pretty competitive day one, and day two, I pretty well fell off. And that was kind of, it seems to have been, like, looking back on the year, that's really been my narrative for a lot of the year, as I've had come out decently day one and just pretty well fell off on day two. Nerves were kind of bad day one, and it just took a while for those to shake off. And so my biggest, I really struggled with steel at this match. The steel, and not on difficult pieces of steel. Like, I mean, fairly easy steel. And it wasn't that I wasn't aiming hard enough. I was just jerking the gun off the target as I was pulling the trigger and causing several. I think I shot myself into 4 or 5 standing loads at this match, which was, you start looking at that in like your overall time, that starts getting really painful and really destructive. So, I mean, that's just kind of what happened. I was talking to Bob about it afterwards. Like, I did a lot of really good shooting at this match. It just from behind the gun, from what I'm watching to the scores that I'm seeing, I did a lot of really good shooting, and I did a small amount of some really poor shooting, and that small amount of poor shooting made a huge difference in my overall scores.
Yeah.
So, there's positives for the year, as far as if we're looking at like my just progression through the year or progression from last year to this year. There's some good positives from that. I'm leaving this match really frustrated, but for a different reason than what I was frustrated with last year. So,
All right. So we have new frustration.
yeah, pretty much.
So how did you?
But your trend is back. You're competitive.
Yeah,
You don't feel like every stage you're off the pace or the points. You feel like in really specific spots there's lapses of concentration, or there's sort of behind the gun nerves, inattention, whatever it is. But by and large, you're going into most stages and you're like, hey, I'm here to compete for all these match points.
Yeah, no, I mean, I mean, for the most part, the stages where I was not having the dumb, stupid stuff, I was very competitive to be winning those stages. So, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I definitely at least feel like with the field that was in at this match, I felt very competitive within it, beyond just the dumb mistakes. So we got to do something to eliminate those. It is interesting coming into the off season now, because for me personally, like, my biggest motivation to work on stuff is right after a big match. Like, that's when, like, you're the most motivated to want to work on stuff and do stuff. And typically the last match of the year is usually your biggest match of the year. Maybe not the case for Potato, because CO Nats is in June, but But so that's kind of interesting. Like I'm at the point is okay. I'm glad the off season's here, but at the same time, I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get going again. And Western States is not that far away, which
No.
registration opens up for that pretty soon, actually.
Friday, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. December 1.
Yeah. So when this comes out.
Yep.
Biggest single stack match of the year.
It is.
Yeah, it will be.
It is.
We should just start calling that single stack nationals.
It'd be kind of funny if they tried to put it on top of that. Other than the time of year.
Yeah, they should change the name of it. Like, just change it to like the Single Stack World Championship or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
make for
Interstellar Championship.
But the price has gone up on that match. That match used to be like a really inexpensive match. It's now like I was looking today. It's like $175 entry fee.
Yeah,
so that's gone up.
And mandatory 2-day schedule, right?
Yeah,
Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, I think
14 stages.
And
so 7 and 7.
It's in Arizona, but if anybody's going that hasn't been before, don't let the Arizona part fool you. Like the coldest matches that I've almost ever shot have always, not coldest, but it's always really freaking cold because they start really freaking early, and it's just always cold. Like last year was like spitting rain and cloudy. Day 2, I mean, it was hand warmers, and I was wearing like this jacket like between shooting the whole time. So it wasn't exactly pleasant last year, and that seems to be every time I go to Arizona to shoot. That's how it is. So,
oh boy,
and you'll be back again in April,
and then we'll be back in April. Yeah, I mean, so for me, like this is
6 weeks later. It's really how it works. It's like February 24th and then April 12th or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, Western State's kind of a mandatory match for me this year, assuming I can get in. I'm actually kind of wondering how many people are going to shoot it because it is same range and close proximity time wise with IPSC Nationals. So normally it's not a match that fills up. Normally you can get in like day of if you wanted to. I'll be curious to see if it fills up more this year than it has in the past.
I'm looking forward to my chance to take a run at the US IPSC champ.
Yeah, should be fun shooting in the cold. You're going to be used to it, and this will be interesting because I am going to slowly become detrained up until this match, and you're going to be getting more used to your single stack up until this match. So I'm sure it'll be
Step
very
one is
interesting.
keeping it full. That's a real problem for me.
You can do it. You got this.
And this is a single stack match, and so luckily you don't typically end up with any they're going to force you to shoot to 8 some, but you also it's not set up like an open shooter where you've got 14 round positions. They know everybody's shooting 8-round guns, and so it actually ends up being really good stages. Practice your 50-yard shooting because it will have a 50-yard Schmidt standards, so you need to be able to hit stuff at 50 yards.
Be sure you're getting in your 30 push-up 3 on steel challenge reps.
Oh yeah,
that's phenomenal for my iron sight aiming under stress. Not even kidding.
Yeah,
I can only do it once a range session.
Whew, man, yeah, I started actual work on my push-ups to get those where I don't get tired. I can go as hard as I want for 30 and not get tired or slow down at all to get through all those reps. So the 30x3 challenge, if you don't know what we're talking about, go check out Instagram. I'm going to start posting videos. We have actually lots of people have participated so far. So I'm going to start posting video, and we'll try to rein in because we need to get guys like Isaac Lockwood. Like that dude's fit. Like he works out all the time. JJ's working out all the time. Like there's lots of other guys that Aaron Edens looks like a guy who stays really fit. There's lots of guys out there that stay quite fit that should be able to put a pretty good run.
Chris
at
Tilley
this
and BJ
challenge.
Norris.
Dude, I mean, BJ
could shoot that steel faster than anybody else. He would have 40 splits on it, no problem.
Well, and after going into Border Patrol and he's trimmed up and he's fit, like BJ Mike could wreck some people.
I'm not kidding. Yeah,
That one.
Once he stands up, man, nobody's going to catch him.
Well, and he doesn't have as far to go to get down either, so that's just an advantage there, or get up. So that's a huge advantage.
True.
But I will have a weekend challenge coming out too. So if people are bored with the 30x3, we'll have a weekend challenge. I have hopes and dreams of having some sort of prize to give out whenever these finish. So I will start working on that. Hopefully I'll get something out there.
Update on.
I do think you got to give a prize for longest sincere effort for the push-up one.
We might could do that. I mean, Jeff's there.
Jeff's is fine. Jeff's is totally fine. He's done it once, and it was like, 51 seconds? Totally legit. Not a problem.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think I did one. One was like just over 50, and then I did one that was like, it was in the 40s. It's like a 46 or
48
something
seconds or something, 46. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You did them in the same session. Yeah, you're fine.
I do think on the 30x3, I think like a 45 second, like a sub 45 is like you are in solid physical condition and you're in decent control of your shooting fundamentals. Like, so a 45 seconds kind of like a really good baseline of, hey, you're in good enough shape to you can bust out 30 push-ups, and you can shoot well enough to get your hits.
So you're saying that I'm in decent shape and I'm solid B class?
Didn't you say you were 48 seconds?
All he did was set the threshold just underneath you, Jeff. It didn't matter what your time was. There was a threshold coming, and it was going to be right underneath you. I will tell you, my last one was 45 seconds, and there was 5 reloads.
Okay.
So I shot my 3 rounds, and then it took me 5 more mags to hit the steel 2 more times.
Mm-hmm.
But you're busting out those push-ups pretty darn quick. Like, I mean,
Not really.
You can only go so fast, like on push-ups. Like, if you're doing full extension push-ups, you can only go so fast because, like, the faster you push up is like the longer it takes for you to come back down. You can't force your speed going down, really. So
I'm doing these dumb plyo push-ups where I'm throwing myself up, and then you have like this hang time where you wait to fall down.
You know, that would be a good strategy if you could anchor something to the ground so you could pull yourself down.
Yeah.
Go faster.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's just this little, I mean, you could just use little 10-pound dumbbells so you could, pull down, push up, pull down, push up.
Yeah, that would help.
I think Cawthon would give you crap for it being incline push-ups at that point.
If you use a 2x4 to get out of the mud, they're incline push-ups is what I heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That dealing with the gravel and mud on your hands is part of this challenge.
Well,
the best way actually for me to reduce time to first shot is to just shoot with my hands gritty.
Yep.
Because I lose like a full 2.5 seconds trying to wipe them off on the seat of my pants.
Yeah, there ain't no time for that.
Why don't you just do push-ups on a 2x4?
Because that's
my ground's muddy.
It's part of it. Just deal with it. Suck it up, Jeff. Get your little sissy office hands out there and get some dirt in under your fingernails.
I did. Well, I didn't get any dirt under my fingernails, but I got my sissy little office hands down there.
On a piece of wood, you weren't even on the dirt.
No, I wasn't. I was still in my office clothes, man. Can't get them all trashed. I had like 10 minutes of daylight.
But I will say, I think I've only seen one video where somebody hits it the first 3 shots.
Yours?
Is that your video, Jeremy?
I think I've only seen one video.
Wow, Jeremy.
Wow. That's not even a humble brag. That's like a T-ball brag, where it's like you stick the brag on the tee, and then you yourself put the ball there, and then you walk around to the other side of the plate, take a mighty swing, and knock it into the outfield.
That I see how that came out. That was.
Do you know what I haven't seen from you? A video with a timer repeating that feat.
That's true. I've actually not been back to the range since then. But that's partly why, because I'm scared, because I'm afraid if I go to the range, I won't be able to hit the steel again. I'm a little bit worried about that. I actually did not. I'm just gonna shut up now. I did not mean for that to be a brag.
Whatever.
It came out poorly. It came out that way. Look, okay, yeah, I've crushed it, and you guys need to learn how to hit steel at 40 yards. I don't know what to tell you. Work on your trigger press.
Well, 60 yards was my first effort.
Or 60 yards, either way. Yeah, but with a dot, I mean, come on. You don't even have to aim. It basically aims itself.
The dot doesn't make the gun move less at distance. It just tells you it's moving more.
That's perfectly fine.
Like, for me, the challenge in hitting steel is holding the gun still. It's not aligning the sights. So it's a great challenge, and I don't think you should change anything about it. But for me, personally, like, what's fun about the challenge is keeping my hands still for 3 shots.
Yeah.
I think I could probably hit it first time 90% of the time. But I can't hit it 3 times in a row.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, I think most people... Now, after the push-ups, this gets harder, but most people they can hold the steel, it's not such a hard target that they cannot hit it or that they can't hold it with their sights. Meaning they can hold on it and their sights aren't moving off the steel. Most people, I think, can probably do that. It's can they pull the trigger and not move it off of the steel while they're pulling the trigger is really kind of the big challenge there, I think, for people. So. All right, enough about 30 by 3. People, we need to talk. I checked it today. I think like 860 views on our YouTube video, match video from Area 3. It's really more of a race video to see some really elite level running. If you guys if you're listening to this and you have not watched that video, stop this recording. Just stop right now. Like, don't even hear what I'm about to say. Stop and go to YouTube and go watch the other video because it's awesome. Like it was done really well, and you should go watch it, and then you should share it with your friends so that they can see it because it's cool and it's fun and it's gonna make you want to go shoot a match with your friends next year. At least I feel like that's what it's gonna do.
No, I agree. It definitely gives that vibe. You want to be there.
We need more eyes on it. We need it to grow bigger so that we can do. For those of you that have watched it, like lots of people was like, "Hey, we want more videos like this. We want more videos like this." Well, it costs money to produce, and so we want to do more videos like this. We just have to get as many eyes on it as possible so that we can make it such that somebody would want to help us do another video. So,
pretty much.
And that's not Jeff and I making money. That's just simply money to pay the producer, the videographer, and the editor to be able to do that stuff.
Yeah, because they, believe it or not, they're better at it than.
So if you can still hear Jeremy right now, it means you've watched the video. Good job.
That's right. Oh, other thing that's happening next year. We'll at least put it out now. This is subject to change because the match isn't it's not yet on practice score. But the single stack raid for next year is looking like it's probably going to be at the Kentucky State match, which is for you CO shooters. Unfortunately, it is 2 weeks before CO Nationals. So that's bad. I wish it was 2 weeks after CO Nationals, honestly. Would be my preference for that as far as the single stack raid part. But I do feel like a lot of the CO shooters, like they're shooting CO and or production if they have iron sights, they're probably not shooting a lot of single stack. So that may not be a huge deal. But everybody else, get your single stack gun out. Plan on shooting the Kentucky State match. Leif is running it. He's match director for it. I've actually not shot one of Leif's match, but I've seen videos of it, and I've talked to people who have shot his matches, and I hear just nothing but great things. And so it's gonna be a great match. There's lots of bourbon whiskey tours that you can go on. He's very close to all the distilleries out there, so you can make a trip out of it, which would be lots of fun. And we can come see who's going to be the Hit Factor single stack raid champion. I may make a separate trophy just for that match.
That would be cool. What if you built a gun? Hey, yeah.
I may try to have a different trophy. You know what I would actually love to do? I would love to take like just old junk parts and just like weld them together, like such that they spell out like Hit Factor singles, like SS Raid or something like that, like slide stops and thumb safeties and pens. Just weld them all together and make some sort of esoteric art trophy type thing.
That would be cool.
You should do it with a demilled sliding frame, so it's not an FFL item. And so you could just spell with little metal pieces on a chopped up frame. Hit Factor single stack raid champ.
I don't have any frames like that laying around, but I got some junk slides that I could definitely weld parts onto. The slide could be the base, and I could definitely weld parts onto that, which would be fun to make, and it'd be kind of cool. So
that would be pretty sweet if you came up with something like that.
Yeah,
I might even show up.
Try and do that. Jeff's gonna be there. He has to be there.
Well, the only thing separating Jeff from attendance is you driving him there.
I have to go through freaking Oklahoma to get there, so I'm sure he will jump in the back of my car.
Has anyone like ever
I bet he didn't even offer
discussed and realized like how perfectly placed where I live is? It's just everywhere that somebody goes, they just come through Oklahoma. It's amazing.
There's a weird pause that just happened. The recording crapped out. We had to restart it. So yeah, go shoot. Sign up for Kentucky State when it comes out. Leif's going to put on a great match. I'm going to make a cool trophy. And now Jeff is going to talk about our awesome sponsors.
Yes, our awesome sponsor, today's show sponsor is Shooters Connection. So if you guys don't know who Shooters Connection is, they are a supporter of the practical shooting sports. They sponsor lots of matches, and they have for a very long time. Run by competitive shooters. They're doing same-day shipping. And so support them if you guys need stuff for the off season, or if you're like Potato here and you just say screw it and you're not taking an off season, then go get your stuff to keep shooting from them. Use the link in the description. That lets them know that you came from here. So thank you, Shooters Connection. And then also we have our Patreon shout out from Mr. John Headland. Shout out to Roy Morrison for being a general badass and an inspiration to the group to not take ourselves too seriously and just load and shoot the damn gun. And Mr. Patrick Kelly for always being a sounding board and a place for honest feedback when you really need to hear it. It's so genuine.
I love that John so the shout outs that John's doing, like he's paying for that. Like it is a extra Patreon level for Jeff's retirement fund. And he uses that to like just shout out other people. That's awesome.
To uplift people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I can tell you right
that
now.
That Headland guy, keep your eyes on him.
If that were me, like if I were paying for shout outs, I would be like hopping on here every week and telling Jeremy to eat shit. I'd be like,
and today's show is brought to you by our Patreon sponsor, Jeff the Champ Cawthon, who's here to remind Jeremy Reid of yet another crushing defeat. Right? Like that's what it would be.
Eat shit, Jeremy.
Cheers. Cheers to that.
Yeah. So on that note, final topic of the evening is reflection. So we're just going to reflect on this season and what it held, what it meant to us. I want Jeremy to start.
With that run up, I mean, how could I go wrong? I mean, like this has been I think this has been probably a fairly memorable year. Like trips have been fun. Like matches that I have shot have been fun matches. And so that's been good. You know, the fact that we got that video produced again, we would love to do more in the future, but if that's the only one that we ever do and that that's it, like I'm really glad that we just got that done. And we kind of got that preserved. Like, hey, this is what we do when we go to matches, and it's what we want to try to do to make them fun, and yeah, be as competitive as we can possibly be, even for really unathletic looking middle-aged white guys racing. That was so bad. I will remember that for forever. That has changed my mental image of myself for the worse forever. I'm actually going to work on my my running form over the off season.
Jeremy's like super self-conscious about the way he stands and walks now.
It's true. It's true. Like I don't have great posture. Like I just don't, and like it's really evident in that video. And it was like as I'm walking around matches now after that video, I'm like everyone wants to like remind himself like, oh, pull those shoulders back a little bit. Try not to slouch so bad.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a takeaway from the shooting season. But you know, this was a good year. Like I got back into being competitive again. The last few years really had gone bad from the competitive standpoint, but really like even like training, like didn't do as much training, didn't enjoy it as much. Like I enjoyed the training this year. I enjoyed the process. So that was fun. And yeah, like there's improvement back to being competitive again, which is cool. You know, I want to try to figure out a way to get rid of the nerves. Like that was really just evident as matches got closer to the end of it or the second half of them. I'm in contention to do well or have a really good performance, and the nerves just kind of get the better of me. So
yeah,
that's kind of something for me to think about and contemplate and trying to work on for, okay, how am I going to perform better when it matters, not just perform better, period.
Mm-hmm. Which is a little mind-boggling to me that nerves are still that big of an issue for as long as you have been shooting competitively.
Yeah, I mean, like it, but it's been anything I've ever done. Like it's like nerves have always just kind of always just an issue. So you know, we'll see. Maybe I'll mess with some beta blockers or something next year and see if they
do some drugs.
I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I guess a beta blocker, you could classify that as some sort of drug.
Man, a little labetalol among friends never hurt nobody.
I don't know what that is.
That's a beta blocker.
Oh, yeah. So we'll see. Maybe I'll mess with that some. What I know that I probably need to do, and I don't want to do, but I probably need to do, is when I was videoing, I was going live on Instagram and videoing cold runs in practice. That probably the matches after that were probably the best that I ever performed. Like my cold runs, first runs of the match, that sort of thing. That was when I did that best. It's not fun to put your practice, like live video your practice. It's fun to take video of practice and post that, because then you can just you can wait till you have a good run and post it and make yourself look good. If you post it live, like there's a really good chance you could make yourself look like a not good shooter. So that's kind of uncomfortable to do that, but that was really effective in the past. So maybe I'll do some of that next year.
Yeah.
But it's fun. The group of people that we have hanging out is expanding. Like the people that like we got to actually meet Potato and Jay, hung out a little bit more with Tyler this year than talk more with him in person in the past. You know, the crew, the Area 3 crew with Brett and John and Bob and Nils, Mid-Pack Mike coming out. Like he seems to just travel all over the country. So yeah, like just like it's kind of just an ever expanding crew of people that's just fun to hang out with too. So so that's
sure.
actually really good too.
Yeah. What about you, Saul?
Oh, you should give us your year first. Your year's better.
It was the same year. All right, fine. Jeez. No, this year was absolutely incredible. And I feel like I feel this way about a lot of years, but that's just one of the things that this sport brings me is just incredible life experiences, traveling around, meeting people. And like Jeremy said, like once again, this sport has brought me new experiences, new friends. I met Saul this year, got to meet him. Incredible conversation with the most interesting man in practical shooting. Got to meet Jay, and I've been wanting to meet Jay.
He's
Finally
like
got
the
to meet
second
Jay.
most interesting man, right?
I know, and we met them both at the exact same time, right?
Yes.
Um,
The most eclectic collection of 4 people at a treehouse, sitting in a treehouse eating dinner that I think I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, so got to meet Saul and Jay, and got to hang out with them. And like Jeremy said, we got to hang out with Ty a little bit more. I met Leif. I got to meet Leif this year, and Jeremy's buddy Brett. I got to meet Brett and hang out with him a lot this year, and John McLean and Nils and Bob a bit more. So yeah, it was just an absolutely incredible year that made my life just that much better, man. And that's why I keep coming back to this thing. Like even if I could convince myself to quit the sport because I don't want to shoot anymore, like just the experiences that this thing brings me, like bringing people on here and talking to them and traveling around and meeting new people. Like if it was that alone, then I'd probably keep doing it. Yeah, it's just absolutely incredible. And on top of that, I kicked Jeremy's ass all year long. So, yeah, we won some great matches and got to shoot in a lot of cool places. Stayed in some really cool places. The place in Nebraska, the Barn Dominium, and Jeremy picked us out a doozy in Florida, so that was a good one too.
That was a good one. Really good one.
Yeah, and then to cap the year off, I technically got a national championship title from IPSC U.S. Nationals, which honestly, like, did not see that coming at all because I really thought Elias was going to shoot this match and he's going to show up and kick my ass again. So yeah, that was just kind of came out of nowhere that I got to do that and get that. So it's freaking great year, like all the way around. It beat the heck out of the last couple of years, honestly. Even and those were pretty good. So
mostly because you were shooting a proper gun again.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, well, honestly, I am back to shooting like a gun that I really, really like to shoot. Like I'm a mechanically inclined. I like mechanical things, and the 1911 it scratches that itch pretty good. It's just like super. I don't know. It's super intriguing, super mechanical, right? And it just feels amazing for me. So I'm really glad to be shooting the 1911, and I don't imagine that I will ever pick up another division as my main division. So I'll probably dabble here and there, but yeah, 1911 is. I'm here to stay. I'm home, boys. I'm home.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
Boomers for
that's.
life.
I've kind of adopted this as my duty in the sport is just to to promote single stack, right? That's what I'm here for. I'm here to travel around and shoot matches and shoot single stack and talk about single stack and make sure that it's not a dying division, because I think that's what it needs. I think it needs like diehard people in the division being active in the sport, going around and being a part of it. Um, so that's what I want to do. That's my mission in practical shooting is travel around, meet incredible people like Potato, and promote the single stack religion.
Well, I mean, I think you can be effective at that because look at limited. Like you look at just look at the emergence of Sauerland and Scott Brown, and now I mean really Gianni towards the end of this year. But like you just limited was a field that like the last few years have been okay. Like it's a big field, but really wasn't like the top end wasn't. We were never talking about those guys as like the elite guys in the sport. We were looking more at people in open, people in CO, people in production. But then you throw in a guy like, okay, Scott's emergence and then Sauerland's kind of explosion on the scene. And all of a sudden it's like limited is now like just adding those two to the same mix that has been there. Like limited is now like probably the most competitive division that we have. Almost any match you go to, because like you just throw in a couple of people that are really good into a division, and it really changes the overall profile and feel of whoever's winning and competing in those matches.
Yeah. Yeah. So that needs to be the mission here is like shoot single stack as well as I possibly can and travel around the country and try to entice people to come and beat me. So that's what we're doing. Yeah.
It's great.
All right, Potato. Tell us about your year and all the feels.
Well, it's hard to follow that. That was very wholesome. And I say that not to diminish it. That was like definitely the highlights of my years were not years. We'll just do one. The highlight of my year was squatting with different people, traveling with different people, going to different matches, and a few different separate orbits of people. So it's not just I have the same people I shot every match with. I shot with very different squads that sort of, bring out very different sides, different people, different divisions. And that was a ton of fun. In terms of performance, they front loaded my season, like everyone who primarily shoots carry optics, by putting the nationals in June, which meant, I shot a bunch of matches in May and June. And then it's like, what now?
Yeah.
Luckily, I already had a plan in place, which is I picked up a single stack miner gun last winter with the specific plan of shooting single stack at majors I work. So I try and work 2 or 3 majors a year. If I'm working there, just how I'm wired, I'm not saying this is everybody, but for me, my performance takes a huge dive if I'm running a tablet and a timer the whole day. And I'm thinking about shoot throughs and I'm trying to proof stages and I'm trying to be good staff. I'm just not that good a competitor. And so I was like, you know what? I need a division I don't care about where when I'm staff, I'm just going to have fun. But unfortunately, the particular way my brain is broken, once I have my just have fun division and I go and I shoot it in a couple matches, I'm like, man, there's a lot of low hanging fruit here. If I start practicing at this division, I bet I can get better. And then, so now I think the way I'm going to set up next year is informed entirely by this year. I'm going to have a series of major matches in single stack and a series in carry optics or some other dot division. I hear there's another one batting around where I can use my CO gun without even changing anything. Sounds great to me. Twice as many nationals.
Yeah.
And basically, I'm just going to be training towards one or the other. Maybe I'll work in one day a week or one day every other week with the other gun just to sort of maintain familiarity. But something I had noticed that doesn't take keen powers of observation is the people who are really good at this are really good at this, and then they like hop into a different division and they're really good at that one too, right? Like Garen Singleton picks up a revolver, turns out he's really good at it. Like Mason swaps on a 40 slide and goes and wins limited nationals in 2020, right? So if I want to be good at shooting, it doesn't really matter how invested I am in a specific division once you have a baseline level of skill. Like the people who are good at shooting are good at shooting. And so if it's more interesting for me to pursue that in different divisions, I'm not handicapping myself by not fully committing to a single division that occupies all of my time, which is what I had heard before. So anyway, that's not really a reflection on the year. The year was a good year. Like I feel like I'm a way better shooter than I was a year ago, but I have no evidence of that in terms of percentage at matches. But I know it, and that's what matters, right? And I've got some really, really new and interesting mental struggles. The nerves thing that Jeremy was talking about is fascinating to me because I just have really, really crippling sense of overwhelm. And I know, like, I also have a very, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, accurate sense of who I am. And I'm acutely aware that nobody cares, right? And where my performance lands me is exactly where anyone who's paying attention expects it to. I neither underperform nor overperform. I am, in fact, exactly what I look like on paper. That is me. And yet I'll walk onto stages at quote unquote big matches and my heart rate will get up to, 150, 160 beats per minute after make ready. It's like, I'm really, really sensing this. It feels like life and death. And I'm not just positively reframing it. I think it's true on some level. I really, really enjoy that. It's really stressful and it's fatiguing, but I must enjoy it because I keep putting myself in situations to feel that. Because sometimes when I'm not going to big matches, I think, oh man, I just love training. I could not shoot matches and just train and get better. And then I go to a big match and I feel like, that my hands start actually shaking and I can feel my pulse and my tempo. I'm like, no, this is what I'm here for. Like all that training, that was its own thing. That's great. But this is what I'm here for. So looking forward to more of that next year.
Yeah, this hasn't happened to me often, but feeling that, like the nerves and the shakiness and all that, like feeling that and then like pulling off like a really good stage while you're feeling that, like, yeah, that's why you show up to a match because that's awesome.
It's an amazing feeling. I've had it go both ways. I've had 50% stages and I've had stage wins at big matches that are both preceded by nerves. So this is what I mean by like, this is going to be a fun sort of thing for me to unravel. It's like, what are the decisions that I'm in control of that sort of influence those outcomes?
Yeah. It'll be, we'll have to swap notes as we progress through next year. Cause that's something for me to tackle for sure.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how y'all, like if you come up with different methods for managing your stress, anxiety, whatever it is that you're experiencing. I would really, really like to hear like if you come up with something to manage it.
My first attempt is going to be to hype myself up more at things I care about less. Is to not try and like reduce the level of stress and anxiety for things I do care about, but to try and sort of increase it for things that like right now I feel like I don't care about. Right. I don't know how I'll do that, but that's the goal.
I still say there's some validity to just get really pissed off, because then if you're pissed off, then you don't have room to be nervous. I didn't do that towards the end of the year. That kind of faded out. My anger faded in it, and it showed. I wasn't mad enough.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it is. I was struggling with some nerves at IPSC Nationals, but I almost felt like they were self-induced nerves. Like I would have been fine, but I was like amping myself up so hard to like attack a stage that by the time I got up there to shoot it, like I was like kind of short of breath. And so then I had to like try to calm back down. But yeah, I was experiencing what I believe was pretty self-induced uh, nervousness.
Yeah. So what I want to get to is where I don't try to calm myself down. I just say screw it. Embrace the amped upness. Like that's a good thing, because we're not having to do like a long endurance thing. And so like let's just. I think part of me, like I always just try to calm myself down, calm myself. Like, man, forget that. Just let the blood flow go.
Yeah.
So not to go back into this, and I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to ask you. So you had a nice stage win on stage 10, which is the last of all the point stages on your day 2 at IPSC Nationals. So you shoot 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Right. And those 7 and 8 were two in their own way really interesting stages, but they were hard. Like there was lots of gear changes. They were hard stages. I liked them. And 9 and 10 were just straight up like local match style 12 factor hose fests.
Yeah.
So for me, those are the two most intimidating stages of the match. You didn't like what had happened on 7 or 8. I can't remember which, but you got to 10.
Both.
Yeah, you got to 10 and you won it. Is that when you just got mad again, or what?
I wouldn't say I just got mad again, but it was just like I was going to rip on that stage no matter what. I was just going to rip hard on that stage. Like there was no holding back. The only thing that was going to slow me down was gun handling, pretty much. And that's, actually I shot that stage. I was actually pretty disappointed finishing it because it was a little bit sloppier than I wanted it to be.
Couple of deltas and
yeah, and like I look back later, like I won this stage. Oh, okay, like that's cool. I feel like that's how Jeff felt about a last stage too, right? It's like this is a little
wait,
sloppy.
That was the winning run, really?
This is what won.
Yeah, I think I remember telling you won that stage. After you ran it,
because
you were like,
I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, you were like being like mopey and disappointed because you didn't shoot the points that you thought that you needed to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you won that stage.
And that was probably just like being pissed off from the 3 stages before it. It was still definitely that was part of it. But yeah, I don't know if maybe there was some anger that got out, but it was mostly just I was just gonna flat out rip on it. I was like I was gonna go as fast as I possibly could and try to pay attention enough not to have big penalties.
Every time I think like that, I have big penalties. So that's interesting to me.
Grip the gun harder.
I can't go fast by thinking, man, I'm gonna go fast now. Like that's how I like miss loads and I overrun positions.
Yeah, that's the challenge. Is can you try to be fast and then still execute? That's
the only way I'm ever fast is I'm like, you know what? I'm not even gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna look at the middle of all of the targets and let the gun shoot itself. And then it's like, hey, look, I'm competitive on time. And the moment I'm like, man, I'm gonna shred on this. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have we're getting off topic, but I definitely have. There's different gears there in just shooting the middle of the target and then full send. For me, there's definite gear change there. I'm not saying that full send is always an effective strategy, but
works for Jeff.
On a stage like that and more a match kind of like this, it mostly worked out. Except for hitting some pieces of steel. but otherwise it mostly works out.
Mhm. I look forward to digging into some training philosophy more in the coming months.
I hope you spend some time articulating yours, because you've got your own, at this point, well established internal training philosophy that you have
Yeah.
not fully articulated, and people want to hear about it.
He's got secret sauce that he doesn't even share it with me. Like, I work on his guns, I fix his gun. Sounds like I had to fix
Yeah.
a gun again because the thumb safety is broken.
Well, this is my primary reason for going to Western States, is I was thinking you could fix my guns. I mean, I'm even going to buy a new major gun just so I have more things for you to fix there.
I'll load my mill up in the back of my truck, and we'll just
Yes.
open up for business. Get a big generator.
Actually, the fact that I can fix everything on these guns with hand files is very exciting.
Yeah, you can do.
I can just buy an oversized part and then make it fit.
Yep.
Pretty much everything in the gun.
Yep.
All it takes is time.
That's right.
Yeah. No, Saul, the sharing the philosophy, the training philosophy, I have really thought about this, like, since we mentioned it on here last time, right? And I've thought about how to share ideas that are in my head, and it is so difficult for me to try to convey what's in my brain, like, on so many different levels, because I see pictures, like, everything is images, and so
Well,
it's
Saul's
so hard.
completely out.
Yeah, so it's really hard for me to take that and turn it into words and present it. It's like I have to tell 5 different stories of images to try to explain something. It's retarded. But I thought about it a lot. Like, especially today, I was driving around and I was just thinking about how I think about things. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't even explain this to myself. Yeah.
Now,
Anyway,
So people send in your questions. Send in your questions, and we are going to excavate this particular mine shaft. We're like pulling off the concrete cap. We're opening it back up. We're going down into the darker recesses of the Cawthon psyche, and we're going to look at the pretty pictures.
like, people can actually hear it when I talk, because I talk slow, right? Like, there's pauses in my talk. You can see it. I can freaking see it when I'm editing. Like, oh, look, I pause all the fucking time and everyone else just talks. And that's me
translating from your pictures to words.
That's me transposing from images to words. It's terrible.
That's awesome. That's so cool. That is fascinating. And I think it's really, really helped you, or you've found ways to make that very, very helpful in terms of accomplishing what you want to accomplish with shooting. So, Josh Morgan, other people have questions for Jeff. Like, make them really specific questions, and then we'll try and get him to unspool his images into our words.
Oh, it'll be fun. All right.
Or maybe it can just be interpretive dance.
I could do that too. Look, I cleaned up the couch over here. we could do another couch session.
Oh, dear.
Jeff explains his training philosophy from the casting couch.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Bring your whiskey.
Yeah, shorts and socialists fear him.
That's right. All right. Guys, if you have any questions or anything you want us to respond to over the offseason, this is actually a great time for us to be able to answer questions. As we've got a lull between matches and that sort of stuff. So if you have any questions, send them in now, and we will do our best to answer them. And if you have any specific guests you want us to try to have on, let us know, and we can try to reach out and see if they want to talk to Jeff or not.
Yeah. Sounds
Otherwise, good. like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it.
Peace.